Well, behind me are the ruins of Troy, the scene of the great Trojan War, which is at the center of Homer's great epic, the Iliad, which will be at the center of what we'll be talking about this entire week, just about. But before I get into today's lecture, this week's lecture, I want to talk a little bit about the situation of the course at this juncture. I have some concerns about procrastination that's been going on. I'm pretty confident that there's a good deal of procrastination going on. And I can tell that by the fact that most of the quizzes are being turned in late, very close to the deadline, and particularly by the fact that people aren't showing up to do any comments in their discussion groups until very late, so that some people are starting out early on, and they're actually producing some good discussions, but there's just half the group that is there. And as I began to realize the extent to which procrastination was becoming a problem, the first thing I felt was anger. And at first I felt like it was directed at you. And then I realized it was directed at me, because I have inadvertently structured the course in such a way that makes this kind of procrastination possible. There's the quiz at the end of the week that is supposed to prevent you from procrastinating beyond the end of the week. But within that frame, the setup is such that you can, if you want to, you can wait until the weekend, even once the window for the quiz has started, to do, most or all of the watching the videos and probably doing the reading. And you're doing this, if this is the case, you're cramming in effect for a 10-point quiz. And by the way, there's there was a mistake in the quiz, because I said, the correct answer is that the quiz, each individual quiz is worth 1.5%. It's not. It's only worth 1%. 10 points, right? 1,000, so 1%. So you're cramming for this, for this thing that's negligible in importance. And because you're cramming, you're not really learning the material. And on October 11th, when the window for the midterm examination opens, you won't be able to learn everything that you need to learn in the kind of detail that'll be required. These quizzes are relatively simple. I mean, they're just multiple choice. I'll tell you what this is about in a second. These these quizzes are very simple. They're just multiple choice and true false. And as you saw with this particular quiz, they're intentionally easy. They do not provide any reflection in any way, shape, or form of what the midterm examination is going to be like. Just a moment. Blah. No, procrastination is it's hurting us in the course. It's going to hurt you down the line, because the way that you're handling things now is not going to prepare you adequately for the midterm examination. You might think so, but you're going to get clobbered. I can just tell you right now, I know what that examination is going to look like. And it's at the level of a 2000 course, but within that frame, it's a challenging examination. So what I need to do, because I read up on the literature on online courses, and lo and behold, this business with procrastination is one of the biggest issues that crops up with online courses. It is just a huge issue that, in order to resolve it, actually both instructors and the students have to play a role. I'll tell you the instructor's point of view, what I'm going to need to do with the course, and then I want to talk to you briefly about what you can do, but mostly you can figure this out on your own, talking to one another about it. What I'm going to do, and this is in accordance with the advice that that the literature gives about online courses, is they basically say, don't give students a big frame in which to accomplish their work. And I thought that a week was not too big of a frame, but it turns out that it is. So the recommendation then would be to cut the period between the beginning of the week and the quiz. Basically, you put a quiz in the middle of the week, as well as at the end of the week. And don't worry, these are going to, the first one's going to be 5 points, the second will be 5 points, so it'll still be 10 points each. But the idea is, that first quiz will force you to get started right away with the early part, the early modules or the early presentations. And then you get to the other side of that, and then you'll have the second quiz backstopping you so you don't go beyond that. Another mistake that I made was the window in which you can take the quiz is too big. 5 p.m. on Friday to 11:59 p.m. on Sunday provides you with a lot of scope to actually do all your reading and so forth over that weekend, and then take the quiz just a few minutes before midnight. So that's not working either. And the recommendation, the guidance with that would be along the lines of still open the quiz at 5 p.m. on Friday, but close it, let's say at noon on Saturday. And the reason why I suggest noon on Saturday is because OSU plays games most Saturdays, and many of them, not all of those games, start at kickoff is around noon. So now what you've got is you have 7 hours, right, from 5 p.m. to midnight, 7 hours, and then 12 hours, additional hours in which to take finish the quiz. Okay, so that's still a pretty good sized window, and you might still be tempted to cram during a period. And so the last piece of guidance is cut off the presentations as of 5 p.m. So that in effect, what you need to do is you need to watch all those presentations and taken notes on them, and be ready to take the quiz, because you won't be able to go back and view the presentations if you haven't already seen them, or kind of go through them really quickly, and and then cram more for them at the end. And what then we end up with is something that's structured much more along the lines of a regular classroom experience. Because if we were in a regular classroom, I would be doing a lecture on Tuesday, right? And then another lecture on Thursday, and you would have to be present for the Tuesday one, and you have to be present for the Thursday one, and so you'd be forced to get the information, at that time, those times. So, and so this is the way to kind of to break this business of procrastination, which I think is hurting everybody. And you might think that you're the kind of person who does well under pressure, and you like to wait to the last moment and so forth. I've seen people who say that and they believe it, but you're not really getting an education that way. You're learning things fast enough to take an examination, but you're not giving yourself time to really internalize the material. And so you're squandering the opportunity to have a real educational experience in the service of simply taking a test for a grade. Then I'll tell you what, I don't like examinations for precisely this kind of reason, because what you focus on is, will this be on the midterm? And when I was first a professor, I was tired of that idea. Will this be on the midterm? And then I discovered, I took a Spanish course as a professor for credit, and then I discovered, yeah, you really do begin to focus on, will this be on on the midterm? And then that's just a problematic focus. You should be focusing on mastering the material, and for two reasons. If you want to be concerned about, will this be on the midterm? Yeah, the midterm is going to be tough, and you can't, you're not going to cram successfully each of these quizzes and be ready for that midterm examination. It's going to roll over you like a Mack truck. So that's one problem with procrastination. Another problem has been that the people who get in early on the week's discussions actually have some pretty good exchanges. I've been looking in on quite a few of them and commenting in a few cases, and they're enjoyable. And they're going back and forth. It's not like people are just like doing the comment and doing the post, the reply, and in a very rote fashion and letting it go at that. There is a real dialogue. There's a real back and forth, and that's what discussions are supposed to be about. And then so about half the group is showing up to do that. Sometimes even less. Sometimes just two people just talking back and forth. And then late in the evening on Sunday, everybody else shows up, and all they've got time to do is make the comment, reply in a very superficial way to something somebody else has said, check the block, and they're out of there, which wrecks the value of having discussions. So procrastination is killing us that way too, and it's just got to stop. So at my end, I'm going to restructure the course in such a way as to hinder procrastination to the extent that I can do it as an instructor. Now, it would not be fair to sort of begin this change this week, because you've already gotten used to an existing system, and you probably arranged your week around the idea that you can do other things and then safely take the weekend to cram for that 10-point quiz. But next week, the beginning of next week, the new dispensation begins, and I'll put it all in writing for you, so there's no doubt about how things operate. And I'm going to, now that I've learned sort of my lesson, and it's an evolving kind of education teaching online like this. This is the system that I'll use when I teach my 2 online courses this coming spring. Now, you saw me take a drink of water, or maybe you can't actually see it because of the hang on. Oops. I want you to see this actually. Okay. All right. Now you're seeing my my actual office, and so then I'll just keep it this way for the bit. But now you can see this this glass really clearly. This glass is not a glass of water. This is a glass of industrial strength laxative, because I'm getting ready to have a colonoscopy. And it'll be my 3rd colonoscopy. I had my first one when I turned 50, which is when people start to have colonoscopies. And then, because a relative of mine had a colonoscopy and a little polyp showed up, now we got a family history of the possibility of rectal colon cancer, which is what a colonoscopy is supposed to screen for. So now I get them every 5 years instead of every 10 years. The reason why I usually can do it every 10 years is because colon cancer is a very slow moving cancer. It'll kill you in the end. But it's slow moving, and that's why you can safely do a colonoscopy usually every 10 years, and in my case, every 5 years. Now you say, well, Professor Grimsley, that's all well and good, but what does that have to do with me? Well, I'll tell you what it has to do with you. Just like, it has to do indirectly with procrastination. My father did not like getting physical exams. He had a heart attack when he was 40. He had another heart attack when he was 42, and his company, Nationwide Insurance, required him to see a cardiologist once a year. And he thought he was fine. He was like he was a young man. What could possibly go wrong? Well, in military terms, the heart disease was the fixing attack. He's looking at the possibility of another heart attack. Okay, and he's paying close attention to that. And that's just the fixing attack. And what winds up getting him is lung cancer. And he didn't get annual physicals. He didn't like getting physicals. He put them off and put them off and put them off, and boom, got hit with the lung cancer. Now, I found out about him having lung cancer when I got back from my honeymoon. And my mother had breast cancer, and I had seen that went on for years, radiation, chemotherapy, the cancer coming out of remission, that kind of a thing, or going into remission, coming out of remission. So I figured that this would be the same story with Dad. It wasn't. He had surgery the morning after I got back from the honeymoon. I was there. The surgeon opened him up, looked inside him. The cancer was everywhere, and sent him home to die. And he died just a few months later. He was 54 years old. He was 54 years old. And in a real sense, he died of procrastination, because he put off those physicals and put off those physicals and put off those physicals because he didn't like physicals. And they killed him. Had he gotten those physicals, had he not procrastinated, he might just possibly have been around for the birth of my daughter. He would have been pretty old. My daughter turns 10 years old next month. He might still have been around. But my little girl never came anywhere near seeing her grandfather because he died in August 15th, 1989. That's all the far he got. Procrastination. It is not something you want in your life. And your immediate reaction to my changing the structure of the course to respond to this problem with procrastination may be resentment. Well, if you want to look at it that way, fine. But the lens through which I look at it is that if I allow you scope to procrastinate, you will procrastinate. And it may become more of a habit with you than it is already. One day it might just be you who gets the news too late that you've got a serious, life-threatening illness. I saw it firsthand. I'm not going to be part of it with you. I'm not going to have anything to do with encouraging or allowing procrastination on your part. The price is just too high. Okay, I'll stop the recording at this point, and we'll get on with the lectures for this week, all on the code of the Homeric code, warrior code that comes out of Homer's Iliad. We'll get on with that in a bit.